What is up, people of Earth? This is Evan from Stock Music Musician, and today I have my first look at the new sampler in Reason that's coming out with Reason 12. It is called the Mimic Creative Sampler, and it is a lot of fun. I really like it, and it is exactly what I would like in a sampler. You can do pitch-based manipulation. You can do slice-based manipulation. You can do multiple slot manipulation. You've got some really fun onboard creative effects, and the workflow is super smooth. Now, this just came out yesterday, so I am in no way an expert at using it, but I know my way around Reason, and Reason Studios has done a great job of making this a usable piece of software. So this isn't going to be a deep dive into Mimic by any means. This is just the first song I put together in like 30 minutes, just kind of messing around with it, using my intuition and kind of following the creative juices wherever they take me. If you want to take your Reason production farther, though, I do want to let you know I've got a free Reason mixing template that you can download. I'll put the link below. This is for Reason 11 and above. It will let you quickly make powerful and wonderful sounding mixes in Reason. So be sure to get that. And be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more great Reason news as Reason 12 rounds the bend. Now let's watch that intro. Okay, we're back. So let's listen to this song real quick. It's not very long. It's like a minute, 30 seconds. And then what I want to do is break down how I'm using Mimic and where I think it's working and where it is. I don't even know if it's not working so much as I am not using it right. But by and large, I think it's a real winner. And it could be the samples that I'm using. Hint, pitchy vocals. So let's take a listen. So that's the quick overview of the track, made really quickly using Mimic, because Mimic's workflow is fantastic. Super easy to audition samples just by clicking here, dragging things in, and then to start tweaking them to your heart's content. So let's look at some of the things I was doing here. We will just pause it, and we'll go to the guitar part first, which is just like a, I think it's from like, I think this loop pack is like called Soul All Night or something. I just loaded the sample in, and this one I think I adjusted the sensitivity till I got the chop points where I wanted, and I probably deleted a couple of points. This is all adjustable on the fly, so it's really easy to do, to just play around with your keyboard till you get the chop points where you want. I used the advanced stretch mode so that I could slow down the parts so that it would fit a little better with the groove. So let's just listen at 100% what it would sound like. And it just gives it a little more groove in the pocket of the song. Let's listen. And if I had done that in tape mode, and I'll get into all these probably in a different video, but it just sounds more interesting to me. I pitched it down so that it would be in the key of C. I'm using this compressor to great effect. It's a very colorful compressor. And I've got a bit of bit crushing going on. I use automation of the bit crushing and the EQ, the high cut, in sort of a breakdown. I've also just ever so slightly reduced the attack of the sample so it's not as like plucky and in your face. And I've turned on mono retrig so that every time the sample hits, it cuts off the previous sample. So let's just listen to the breakdown, and you'll see by having these things on board, it just makes it super easy to do things. Automate breakdowns like you'll see here. And here's the 2 channels. So listen to the guitar. Obviously, the song, I haven't done much work with it. Like, should be a drum fill there. There should be a kick. There's not any of that there. I've also run it through some effects, a little bit of a chorus, a little bit of a echo, and a bit of a reverb, spring reverb, but nothing really to write home about there. Let's talk about the drums. What I did here is downloaded a drum loop. We'll solo these and go back to the loop. Got this compressor again going on, and have some bit crushing going on to sort of replicate an old-fashioned drum machine, or an old-fashioned like sampler. We've also got some high and low cut on the drums. I have used just tape mode because I'm not pitching well, I have pitched it down, actually. That's not true. I have pitched it down and I've sped it up, and I wanted to do it in pitch mode. Or in a pitchy way with tape. So let's listen if these drums were at a regular speed versus now. Gives it a little more pizzazz, and I've also pitched it down a little bit to just sound better with the other instruments. Let's listen in the mix. And to me, those things just make it sound a little bit better. Probably need to play around a little more with the pitch. And again, squeezing, yeah, I talked about that. A cool thing to note here, and the distinction between this and like the Dr. OctoRex, is that you can play multiple slices at the same time. And so that's how I'm getting this fat drum sound. I've got layered kicks and some layered snares. Total brain fart right there. I've pretty much gone with the basic sensitivity and just put a drum sequencer on, and it mapped perfectly to the drum beat. And so right now we're in poly mode, which means multiple notes can be played at once. So let's just listen to the difference between if only it's playing one note at a time like you would get with Dr. OctoRex versus many notes. So this is the default poly. So it just allows you to really create these cool layers, and it works not only for drums, I'm sure, but for other things in really cool and exciting ways. Have not experimented with it. I'm really just trying to do a first look here, but wanted to show you how easy that was. And I did a similar trick on the breakdown with the drums where I automate at the breakdown. We do a high pass and bring in a bunch of bit crushing and then break it back down. So we'll listen to that real quick. And just having it again all on board makes these sorts of things really easy. By the way, if you have any questions along the way, just please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer whatever I can. Like I said, I'm not yet an expert at Mimic. This one's really cool, actually. And this is something that you really couldn't achieve in Reason previously. This is something that I think is the type of thing now that you're going to be doing a lot more of with Mimic. And this is a chop from the vocals that I found by just messing around, by finding sort of these percussive vocal sounds, some plosives and whatnot. I was actually able to create this percussion loop here, which we're not hearing. Sorry about that. So that's a voice. But because I was able to mess around with the loop point so easily with Mimic, I was able to find it. And then I just pitched it down an octave, did a little compression and bit crushing, EQing, and slowed it down just a touch. And also put it in vocal mode as opposed to tape mode, which would sound like this. Which just, at least for this reason, makes it more hyped up. This might actually sound better in mono retrig. Not much of a difference, but let's listen to that in the context now. Maybe Polly was better. So it almost sounds like a cabasa or something, which is really cool. And like I said, the ability to adjust sample points on the fly is why I was able to create that. Let's hold off on the vocals for last, because that's where I don't think that's necessarily Mimic's fault. The bass line is pretty straightforward here. Not really doing any processing. Default sensitivity. I did use advanced stretch mode so I could slow it down just a little bit, but I wanted to preserve the transient so you can kind of hear that pluck on the bass. And I've also extended the release just to make everything a little louder. We got a little EQ, compression, all that fun stuff. And I pitched it down just a tone so that, a semitone so that it can just be in the key of the song. But super easy to set up, and you notice picking the slices. So that was really easy. We've got some, I think this is where we've got to the vibraphone. This is, it's this guy, where I took one of the stock, cowbells or something from the Reason drum supply, and I've just loaded it in. I don't think I've been doing a bit of low res and a lot of compression and EQ, but nothing pitch wise, and we're just sort of using even the time stretch, the regular tape stretch, to do it. And this sounds like this. And then I've got the auto pan coming from the LFO on the Pulsar, wired into the back of the programmer. Here's a quick look at the back. You've got a little bit of CV in options, not any CV out, really. Some effect sends out, and then also you can, for these 8 slots up here, you could have those go out separately. The next instrument to show you is this other kind of lead percussive thing, which I think is one of the stock patches. It doesn't, right now there aren't a lot of patches on it that come with Reason. Whatever. I imagine there will be at full launch. So here I've got a few effects. I've got some plate. I've got a VHS effect from Audiomatic. And Audiomatic plays very well with Mimic. I would definitely recommend you combining these two. And then just a little bit of a pump. But what I did on this is I actually chopped it up. Or I didn't chop it up. I just shortened it so that it is just really you get the loudest parts of the sound and then it sort of plays out. I've sped it up so it moves through it faster. And I've used the melody stretch function so that it doesn't really change the tone of the speed. A little bit of noise, a lot of compression, I guess, and some of the EQ and high cut. And if we were to instead extend this, it doesn't really matter that much here, I guess. I was originally doing it in reverse, which had a cool effect sound, but I didn't think it quite worked. But now I like it again, so I don't know. Maybe we'll do it reversed instead. And I've also added just a touch of LFO to tuning here. It's like 3%. So you kind of have that cool detune effect. And maybe we could just kick this up a little bit, and now here. Food for thought. So really, I mean, like I said, I did this super fast. It's super inspiring. You just get to create on the go. It's really at least my first impression of it is that it's really fantastic and will probably be my go-to sampler because you can do all the things pretty easily, really easily, actually, I would say, except for this one thing I'm going to show you in a minute. And you can do it in a way that you go down one path and you say, wait, that's not quite how I want to do it. Instead of having to open up a different sampler, you can just change the mode here or change the algorithm here. And so that's super helpful. But the one thing I noted in my first look reaction video is that there is not a pitch detect and there is not a BPM sync option with the Mimic. And so if you don't know the key of your sample, then you're going to perhaps get in trouble because it will not let you know what it is automatically and you have to manually dial it in, which can be fine. I mean, use your ears, be a musician. But still, that's from a workflow thing, a little challenging. There's also not per slice controls, unlike you'd get with Rex. Again, fine. But just want to let you know. So, for example, I created this vocal, which we'll just listen to in solo, which sounds better than in the context of the mix. And we'll bypass. So I think a lot of the pitchiness is actually built into the sample that I used itself. So if we were just to go to slice mode and just select playthrough. I wanna funk with you. Right, that's the default sample, more or less. I wanna funk with you. We're not fixing that. That is really pitchy. I wanna funk with you. He's vibratoing all over the place. He's not in key, and so this cannot fix it. Not that it necessarily should be able to fix it, but just wanted to make you aware that you cannot detect pitch on it. And that this is not a miracle working tool. And the other reason I wanted to show this to you was because I don't even know how I had it. I'm not going to keep it, so it doesn't matter. But because you don't have per slice control, you might need to split your samples up into like multiple instances of Mimic with like a different speed on each of them so that the words that you're highlighting with each sample are triggering at the right speed, or the other way around it. And I think this is basically how they intended it. If you notice these slots up here, if you're in multi-slot mode, you can set the speed separately, I believe, for each sample. And so you can just trigger it that way. But because you don't have per slice control, you're going to need to work your way around it, either internally with Mimic or by stacking multiple mimics. Or you could print the effect and then time stretch it from there. But overall, I'm super happy with Mimic. I think it's really fun. I think it's really usable. Great for workflow, and it sounds really nice. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to download your free cheat sheet, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more awesome Reason news and tips. Catch you on the flip side.